Hey Dad, this is an interview with Grandma that was taped on the 20th of December 2000, and it's meant to be a Christmas present from Matt, so that's why you'll hear his name mentioned a bunch. Christmas present. Here we go. Anyway, I want to do the setting right now before we start. We're in Grandma's kitchen. It's the same kitchen you've had since I've been born.
Okay. No, we had this kitchen since Grandma died.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after she died. Before she died, we had this kitchen done. This is Formica.
Okay.
Wall-to-wall Formica.
Wall-to-wall Formica. So it's
Yeah.
like 1970 or so.
Yeah, 1974, 75, maybe even before that.
And
if we take out the Formica, we'll find the name and the date of when it was put up.
You wrote it on the wall?
Johnny did that. Because he was helping. And he put his name and the year that we put that Formica up. But if we lift it up carefully, which is coming apart, see on the side over there, it's coming apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right here.
And I don't know which wall he put the name and the year. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that is funny. So someday it's going to happen.
It's been a long time ago. I think soon it has to come down.
I know, someday.
Because it's really coming down. It's coming apart.
Anyway, so the kitchen table's got this. I'm using a tape recorder. It's probably not the best recording device. Because you know they've got the better recording devices that are all digital. You can put into a computer now.
Oh, really?
Anyway, the tape recorder is on the kitchen table. Grandma's old television. Remember, you know this little small television that as soon as you turn it on, you can't hear what's coming out of the television?
Right. It's only on channel 2. That's all there is to it. Everything is broken on it.
Here at Martha Stewart Living.
Yeah, but it squeaks. It squeaks. Just give it a couple seconds. We're not going to do it. It squeaks. And the plastic is up on the staircase so that
the heat doesn't go up.
So the heat doesn't go up.
We'll take it down in the spring.
This is very important. All the lights are off except for the kitchen.
Right.
And actually, I just came in, and when I came in, Grandma had the television on, and she had the dining room light on, and the kitchen light off, and then she came in, and she turned the dining room light off, and came into the kitchen.
You know how much I like the dark, Matthew. You're always hollering at me when you come in. What are you sitting in the dark for, Grandma?
Yes. Anyway, so it's just the two of us. I'm wearing black pants, red sweater. I've got long hair again. I haven't had long hair for many years. Grandma, what are you wearing?
Oh, I'm wearing the blue dress and the maroon sweater.
You're gonna let them believe that you have bare legs? You're wearing your...
Oh, I have stockings on, that's for sure. I never go bare legs.
When was the last time you had bare legs?
Bare legs I had when I was about 10 years old. My stepfather, he saw that I had my stockings below my knee, and he beat me up because my knees were showing.
That's awful.
I think that's when they started to take their clothes off, the girls. It gets less and every year it gets less and less.
It gets less and less. Sometime it's going to have to turn around because...
One of these days they got to put it all back on
I
again.
know. There's nowhere to go after a while, you know.
Right, exactly.
Okay, Grandma, how old are you?
Right now I'm 82 years old.
82 years old. And when exactly...
I beg your pardon, I'm 28.
Inverse, right? When were you born?
February 11th. Oh, when?
When?
Oh, February 11th, 1918, in the Bronx on Jerome Avenue. When my mother and father got married in Italy, they went straight to the Bronx on Jerome Avenue. She had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The first 2 boys died, and my sister and I are still here. My sister is 85, and I'm 82.
Huh.
And when I was 8 months old, he died after 5 years of marriage.
Your father?
My father died when I was 8 months old. And then my mother
How
had
did he die?
Influenza, the influenza of 1918.
Oh, there was a big one or something.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, many thousands and millions of people that died of the influenza.
Did you get sick?
My father had that, and that's how he died.
And if you got it, you died.
That's it. Yeah, there was no.
It was no recovering kind of it.
No,
Wow.
there was no cure for that at all.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So
Yeah.
your dad died when you were
8 months old.
8 months.
I used to crawl under the coffin. My
No.
mother used to- and after he was buried in the Bronx, St. Raymond's Hospital, St. Raymond's Cemetery, with his mother, his father, his grandmother, his grandfather. They're all in one plot.
They all came over from Italy?
Yeah.
Can we even go back further? So your parents were born in Italy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Where was your mom?
Bari Bidonda.
Yes, I can never say that. Say it one more time.
Bari, B-A-R-I,
Uh-huh.
Bidonda, B-I-T-O-N-T-I.
Okay.
And
And-
that's where they were born. She was only there after she was married about a month. And that's when she came to America because he had an oil business here. And he had to go back, he had to get back to it because he had a business to take care of.
You had to go.
So that was his honeymoon and also to live here.
Oh, I
From
see.
Italy to
So
here.
he had been in Italy for his entire life.
No. He was born in Italy.
Okay.
But then he made a life in America.
Then he went back to Italy.
Then he went back to Italy to see my mother. They fell in love, and they got married.
Oh, okay.
You see, but
So
he
that's
didn't-
why
he
his
didn't
whole
live-
family was here.
Right. He had his mother here, his father here. He had everybody here, his sister. There was nobody left in Italy. Everybody was here. So when he fell in love with my mother in Italy, which was a match also, somebody matched them together from here.
Oh,
In those days,
it was
there
binding.
was always a match. They never met like unexpected, or at a party, or at a beach, or whatever. You know?
Yeah. And they had to get married?
And they had to get married to somebody in their own nationality, body bidonda.
Okay. Oh,
God
yeah.
forbid you should marry somebody outside. They wouldn't allow it.
Of like Florence or something.
Right.
That would be
it's
awful.
just like my mother. She was very disappointed when I was marrying my husband because he was from Naples and I was from Bari. My mother was from Bari. Now he was born in here. He was born in America, dear Grandpa.
He was.
Sure, he was. His mother and father were born in Italy, just like my mother and father.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that.
Right? And so naturally, but he wasn't from the same town as my mother and father. And that was a no-no. You know what I mean? So that was the story about the nationality.
Huh. And oh man, I've got a mess of questions. I don't remember right. Okay. So everyone, when they're going from the U.S. to Italy, they're going by boat, right?
Oh yeah, sure. It took him 10 days to get by boat to get to Italy in those days.
10 days.
10 days. So that was their honeymoon, the 10 days from there to here.
Kind of a smelly boat ride, I bet.
Yeah, that's true.
And so your dad had an oil business.
My father had an oil business. They used to sell oil.
Mm.
In those days, all these people, like even Uncle Patty, he had an ice business. And my father sold ice and oil, which was very profitable.
Right.
But it didn't last long because he only lasted 5 years with my mother and then he died.
5 years, 4 children.
Right.
2 of them survived. And then once he died, did like his parents take care of you guys?
They were all dead when he died.
So no one was really there to take care of
Right.
us. You guys were on your
No.
own.
So my mother was on her own. So she says, what am I going to do? I have no work over here. And that's when we moved down. I don't know now whether it's from Jerome Avenue to Arthur Avenue or to Jerome Avenue, Mulberry Street. It must have been Mulberry Street because she had to work. Because she worked in Wall Street, washing floors,
Oh yeah, that's right.
right? Then she used to come home at 8 o'clock in the morning. She used to work from 12 midnight to 8 in the morning. And then she would go straight to the factory and pick up the men's jackets.
Uh huh.
And she used to sew all the insides, you know. But then for some reason or other, we went back to the Bronx on Arthur Avenue. And that's where we went to school.
Right.
We graduated from school from over there. Arthur Avenue.
Arthur Avenue in the Bronx.
Arthur Avenue. We were raised over there, but we didn't go to school there. Of course, I graduated on Mulberry Street and Canal Street, my sister and I. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what or when or how.
And so when you were in Mulberry Street, that was like
that's
classic Little Italy right then? At
Yeah,
that time?
exactly.
So up when you were in the Bronx, were there less Italians up there?
Oh, it was all Italian.
Oh, so both
They used to
places were.
call it Little Italy, the Bronx, and Little Italy, Mulberry Street.
Oh, okay. So you were.
You know, yeah. And the Bronx, we lived like just walk in with one flight up, just a few steps. And that's what happened, I think, when somebody got in the middle and made her get married again. And that's when we went back. That's when we went to Mulberry Street.
Went back to Mulberry Street.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Because then my mother was working. My stepfather was a very, very sick man. He couldn't work.
So they made her get married to a sick guy.
They made her get married to a sick guy, but she wanted to go back to Italy so bad that every penny she made between washing the floors and sewing the jackets,
Uh-huh.
she saved up the $4,000.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And then the guy ran away with all the money, and her dream flopped.
Oh,
She
so
couldn't go back to
there was
Italy
like
anymore.
some local bank or local.
Yeah, it
bank.
was a local man that he knew all the widowers. He took advantage of all the widowers, and every penny that they made, they brought it to him. She said, "It's safe over here. You don't have to worry." And when he had enough money to his own business, he just ran away with all the money.
Wow.
And but then what happened? He died like a dog in the street.
Well, how long afterwards?
Oh, good many years. A good many years.
He
Because
died like a dog in the
He
street.
died like a dog, and that's how he's supposed to have died. That's how he was supposed to die, like a dog in the street. He took all the old lady's money that they were dreaming of doing something with it,
Yeah.
and he
$4,000 is probably a lot of
It
money.
was a shame. $4,000 was a lot of money. So we were left penniless. We had no money.
But your stepfather at this time was still around.
Then when she remarried, and he had an 18-year-old daughter, you know,
Oh,
Mary Sokola. And then we took up 2 more rooms to make more room for us. Because then in the meantime, before she was married, I used to sleep on the trunk. Because I had no bed. So we used to take turns. My sister and I, she'd sleep on the floor one day, and I'd sleep on the trunk one day. And the next day she would sleep
Which was a better spot?
on the trunk.
The trunk was a good spot.
I liked the trunk. Didn't know any better. So it was a place to sleep, right? So anyway, that's the story about
And-
sleeping on the trunk.
And what?
Then when my brother came around, because then when she remarried, she only stayed with him 5 years too anyway. After the first year, she got my brother Joey.
Yeah.
And then 5 years after, he was 4 years old. And then 5 years after, she was 5 years married with the first, 5 years widow, and 5 years with the second. And then she never remarried again.
Ah.
She was always a young person, so she could have gotten married.
And so how old was she when he died, when the second husband died?
Well, let's see. She was 29 when she first got married. 5 years, she was 34, right? Then 5 years widow, she was 39. And then 5 years, and she was about 35, about 40,
Yeah, 45.
45, 46.
Wow.
So my brother was a change of life baby. That's what they used to call him in those days.
Oh, because she was how old?
44, 45. You know, so in those days, when you lost your period, you had to change your life. So they used to call my brother change your life baby.
Yes, she had him old when she was older.
Yeah, sure. The first year she was married to my...
And so you said she got married at 39. She got remarried at 39, so she must have been 40 when she had him?
Yeah.
So he was a surprise.
Well, I don't know if it was a surprise. In those days, I don't think they knew protection, what it meant.
Right.
I doubt it very, very much.
Yeah.
It was just an accident or whatever. Now they call it accidents, but I really don't know.
That's right. I mean,
But they call it the change of life baby at that age.
that's really interesting.
And it's funny. But he was only 4 years old when his father died.
How did he die? How did the second husband die?
A heart attack. He never worked a day in his life. The whole 5 years that he was with my mother. Then all of a sudden he gets a job cutting ice, you know. Like you would come up to him and say, give me 10 cents piece of ice. So we'd break a 10 cents piece of ice. He'd drop dead. Imagine that. Unbelievable.
It goes to show you people should work.
But he was a very, very
There's
abusive.
a lesson for you, Matthew.
He's a very, very abusive man. Oh, it's a shame.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, we got beatings like crazy. We really, really got beatings for no good reason at all. Then he used to hit his own daughter.
The
We used to sit down at the table sometimes and he says, your foot touched his foot. His shoe touched your shoe. That was the boyfriend.
Oh.
You know, because when he would sit down with us, you know, when he would go away, he says, your shoe touched his shoe. And he would throw a dish at her. And he was so mean. He was so mean, you have no idea. And we used to get in beatings because we used to cover up for my stepsister. We felt sorry for her because she was getting such beatings.
Yeah.
So he would throw things and we would get them instead of my sister. And we never called her Mary. We used to call her sister.
Really?
That's how we had to call her, sister.
Because who told you to do that?
My mother and my stepfather.
Oh.
He was Lord and Master.
Lord and Master. Just like my dad.
He was Lord and Master. It's just like I was for my husband. I was his Lord and Master.
Yeah, right.
You know? I was his Lord and Master. He could do no wrong no matter how hard I tried. But he was my Lord and Master.
He was.
I used to do everything to please him. Never say no to him, God forbid. And
yeah, he wasn't a very grateful guy.
he was grateful in his own way, but he loved me so much that I overlook a lot of things. You know, he would walk by this. Did he really? All the time.
She just
You
mouthed.
can't imagine.
Maddie, she just mouthed, "I love you." He did, really? That's really sweet.
It is. So no matter how bad he was, I know he loved me, you know? But he was my one and only, really, and I didn't know any better. And I didn't know how else I probably would have been treated with somebody else. So whatever he did and how he treated me was the best.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So that's my life. That's why I miss him.
I was going to ask you one of those questions was because he was so gruff.
Yeah.
You know, and I never saw him, the only time I ever saw him.
Oh, he could never show his love to me.
Yeah.
No.
You know, the only time I ever saw him kind of be,
lovable
was
attention.
after the stroke, like after a stroke.
Yeah.
When he was in the hospital, but he was all disoriented and on drugs.
Right.
So I figured it only took drugs
Right.
to get him.
Exactly.
But then I was going to ask, you know, was he ever like different? You know, when no
Oh,
one
yeah.
was around.
Yeah, he was a lot different when we were alone. Oh, yeah.
And always, even when he was older, even in my lifetime.
When he was old, he's even more.
Oh, really? So I mean, and he
Yeah.
would, and like, how was he?
But he never showed it to other people. That's why a lot of people think, how could you have loved a guy like that? But I know deep down in my heart, I know he loved me. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the story. That's the way it was with him and I.
How did you guys meet?
Huh?
How did you meet?
Well, I lived on Liberty Avenue. He lived next door to Liberty Avenue. I used to see him every day. He used to see me, and I used to see him, but I never gave it a second thought. He used to see me run across the street to go to my sister's house, because she was married at the time, you know. And he would always, this is now after I met him, He says, every time I saw you cross the street, I say, oh, how I wish I had that woman.
You were a looker.
Yeah. Then he fell in love with my shoes because I had these brown and white shoes they used to use in one time, like the brown underside and
The
white,
saddle shoes, yeah.
you know, and they were always just so, because I was so fussy, you know. He says that he figured from my looking at my shoes, he thought I was a very neat person. So then we had a boat ride from the factory that I was working around the corner. This was like after I was working at Lofts Candy Factory.
Oh, that's right, making chocolates.
Then from there, then we moved to Liberty Avenue. And then I says, I don't want to travel so much because it was a lot of traveling for me. I had to get up so early in the morning. But I worked there 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got a job around the corner from where I was working. And a lot of his cousins were working where I was working. Like people like next door. There was a big cousin of theirs that used to have a gas station on the corner there. They were all working in this here particular factory. We used to work on blouses.
Yeah.
And I used to put buttons on by machine, buttonholes by machine.
Oh, cool.
And
That's actually pretty cool. With a drill or something?
Yeah. It was like a machine that you just press and it would make a buttonhole, you know? And then I used to do some finishing work, and I used to be the handy lady. And so then they decided one summer, you know, after a good many years, they decided to go to Bear Mountains on a boat ride. And so I says, yeah, I think I'll go. I says, but I haven't got the proper clothes to wear. Because I never wore pants in my life. And they said, you know, you should wear pants for the boat ride.
Because if not, your skirt's going to fly up in the air.
I says, I have no pants. So this girl, as a matter of fact, she's on that picture over there. She gave me a pair of pants to wear just for the boat ride. Those are not my pants, they're hers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And have you ever worn pants before?
No.
Not once?
Never. And so, and that's how I met the pants. So then during the
But wait a
boat
second,
ride,
what about, like, if you went to bed or something, did you wear a nightgown?
oh yeah.
So never put pants on your body?
Never had pajamas, never.
That's so funny.
Yeah, never had pants.
Anyway, I'm sorry, so you had the
So
boat ride.
anyway, throughout the boat ride, this here lady, her name is Mary, and Millie, her name was, both of the two sisters. They said, I want you to meet my cousin, John Catapano. But he already knew me by seeing me all the time, because I lived next door. And so I met him, and that's about it. And after that, you know,
Was he cute?
he was, yeah, I fell in love with his smile. Isn't that funny? Yeah, nice teeth he had. I fell in love with his smile.
Good hygiene, that man.
So anyway, right after that, you know, then we got acquainted, and every once in a while I would see him, like he'd be in front of his truck, taking care of the truck, you know, and then I would jump down from the stool, you know, and I would run to the factory, you know, and sometimes he'd wait until make sure that I was there when he was there, and that's how we got to talking to me, you know. And he says, you know, I'd like to take you out sometime. I says, I'm not allowed out.
How old are you?
20, well, I got 22 I was, because I married at 23. I met him at 22.
Uh-huh. And was this your first love interest?
No, I had another, when I was working, when I was about 15 or 16 years old, I was working at the bridal veils.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Making love thing.
And I was dating the boss's son. He even gave me an engagement ring.
When you were 15 or 16?
Yeah.
Wow. And then you dumped him.
Yeah, because everybody said, he's divorced. His mother and father divorced. If you marry him, you're going to be divorced. And in those days, that divorce was a big thing. And they made it their business to break us up.
It's understandable.
And he took it so bad, and so bad. He says, I'm going to come on that train track one of these days, and I'm going to throw you in there. He says, if I can't have you, nobody's going to have you.
He threatened to kill you.
Yeah, he wanted to kill me. And every time I'd hear a noise on the fire escape, I thought it was him. Because he really came after me for a long, long time. I really got scared.
Huh.
But he was a trumpet player.
Oh, now yeah.
He had his own orchestra. He was a big, big guy.
Now, Grandma, I understand because I'm a big musician fan too.
So anyway, then it broke us up, and that's about it. Then I left that place because I got scared of him.
Right.
'Cause
So.
he was stalking me, you know.
Yeah.
In those days, I mean, now that's what they call it, you know. But in those days, I used to follow me no matter where I went. I was petrified.
So back to you dating Grandpa. He was just about to ask you out when I interrupted you.
So then I says, no, I says, I'm not allowed out, you know. So he says, why? I says, well, my mother's very, very strict. I said, she keeps us very strict, and you're not allowed to go anywhere without her permission, you know. So then, because he had said to me, he says, I'll pick you up at a certain time. I wasn't allowed. I had to be in the house at 10 o'clock.
At night.
At night. So that's the very first time I started to go to a movie when I met him. But I used to meet him in the movies. He never paid for my movies.
Hey.
Because in those days, we used to go to a movie at 8 o'clock. We'd get a cup and a saucer. You get one time you get the cup, the other time you get a saucer. You'd make a dinnerware set.
Oh, wait, like it's a free gift or something?
Yeah, every time you went there. And if I waited for him to go in there with us, I would never get the free thing. But at the same time, if I went when he wanted me to go with him, I would never see the movie, and I would never be home at 10 o'clock. I was scared. I had to be home. So that's how it happened. So every time I went to the movies, I would get a saucer or a dish or whatever for nothing. I'd pay my way in, and then he walked me home.
And did you finally ever get the giftware set, the whole flatware set?
Oh yeah. I used it when I first got married.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And so but he wouldn't pay. But he was kind of from a good family, right? He was.
Oh, yeah.
He had some money.
But I mean, he had no mother and father when I met him. They both died.
They both died. That's right.
They're 2 days apart. They were 7 brothers and sisters.
Mm. Is that the one? Didn't his parents die? His father died of a broken heart. Isn't that the one?
I think so. I think it was a broken heart. I really don't know.
Because they died 2 days apart, right?
2 days apart, yeah.
Which one died first?
The father.
The father. Okay, so his mom. Oh, that's right. His mother died.
Yeah. And,
So how did he ask you to marry?
gee, I really don't know how the heck he married, proposed to me. I think we just took it for granted.
Grandma!
He would come up. No, there was nothing special about him proposing to me.
You were just his girl, and that was how it was going to go.
That's about it. And as a matter of fact, I think I knew from the sister that he wanted to marry me. And he would come up the house once in a while, you know. He was very uncomfortable with my mother.
Mm.
There was nobody there, you know. And he would just come up and say hello, that's about it. But
From what I remember, she wasn't supposed to be a very, comforting woman, right?
my mother,
Yeah.
well, because she didn't like him.
Oh.
First place, because he was short. She says, he's so short. He says, it reminds me of your father, because my father, I hear, was short. And then he's not but is.
Right.
And she thought that was terrible. So she didn't like him too much.
Well, and then he
Then we got married.
got married. Oh, tell about the what with your dowry when you set it all
Oh, you mean my trousseau?
Yeah.
Oh, my trousseau, yeah. When people thought my mother used to buy like certain things on Mulberry Street,
Uh-huh.
people used to come around and say, you want to buy a dozen sheets? You want to buy a dozen pillowcases? You want to buy a dozen towels? This is the price. And everything. My mother used to buy those things because they were cheap.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to pay cash for them. She would pay like a couple of dollars a week.
Oh.
Just like Grandpa was in his drugger's business. He only worked for $5 a week, $10 a week, $2 a week, $3, whatever the lady was able to afford. And they used to buy hundreds of dollars of worth of clothes and merchandise, you know. But that was his living. He used to work.
And you eventually get paid back most of the time.
Oh, how could you get paid back? You You had to pay what you bought.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's how we made a trousseau. And then she would buy like the towels. She used to buy the sheets. She used to buy stockings, underpants.
Underpants were in your trousseau?
Oh yeah, and handkerchiefs. Everything that was important, to your way of life, your way of living. And she would buy like a blanket maybe.
Right.
And then what happened when I had to hang up all my trousseau in a room? I hang it on the walls. And in the front, I would have like dozens of towels, dozens of dish towels, dozens of face cloths.
And you had to hang it up just that once?
Oh yeah, and I had to tell all my neighbors to come and see what I was giving him for my trousseau. And that's how it was in those days, when you had to fill up a trunk. And then when they used to see all these things on it, and they said, gee, a woman all by herself, you got all this trousseau for your daughters? And then she'd say, that's how I got it, by buying it on time. But I bought all the necessary things, like sheets, under sheets, the top sheets, the blankets, and all that stuff, And they says, oh, Teresa, they used to say to her, we never thought that you would give all this to your daughter. We never thought that they thought that he was taking me clothesless, not a nickel to my name. Whereas my mother, to me, gave me more than my husband gave me. Because he had nothing.
Right.
He lost everything when his mother and father died. You know what I mean? All he had was that truck. And then he wasn't ambitious, because he went in that dry goods business with a rope around his neck. He hated it.
Really?
He hated it so much you have no idea. It was handed to him, that's the reason why he stuck it out.
Right.
But he used to like carpentry, he used to love painting, he used to love all that trade, everything that you can do around the house.
With your hands.
And it's just like now, he must be turning in his grave. Everything I do, I have to pay.
Right.
He used to do everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Say, for instance, the bathroom, that thing that, he could have done that.
What thing?
Did you see my new sink in the bathroom?
No.
Well, anyway, he would have done that. I don't have to pay so much money to have it done. Painting and putting all this this thing on the wall. He did all this for me.
He didn't.
He did it all himself. He put all these
Lights.
the snow of the water.
Oh yes.
The fire thing.
What are they?
Fire extinguishers. No, the fire extinguishers.
Oh yeah, the smoke.
The smoke signals and all that stuff.
Whatever.
He did all that carpentry work in the
He was
rooms.
good. He was really.
I mean, every machinery down the basement he was able to use,
Yeah.
and he knew how to use it.
Yeah.
It isn't that he didn't know; he guessed. He knew how to use it. Plumbing, carpentry,
Even an
electrician.
Yeah.
He worked as an electrician in the Navy Yard.
He did.
Oh, sure, because they wanted to draft him in the Army. So when he got the job at the Navy Yard, then they excluded him because he had two small boys.
This sounds dumb, but which war was it?
The last one, not this one here, the one before that. In
World War
41.
World War II.
Yeah. So he didn't go. He worked on the ship, and there's the electrician in the Navy Yard. I don't think that Navy Yard is there anymore. But he worked very hard not to go in there because he had a family to take care of. And that's how he knew how to do everything. But then we had to come back and go in the merchandise business, the dry goods.
Yeah.
He hated it.
Huh.
He hated it. But that was his livelihood. He couldn't abandon it because there was so much stuff there.
Still, he spent. I mean, from what I remember, he spent a lot of time down in the basement working on all the house. So it might have been at least, that he didn't do carpentry for a living, but he certainly did it as
In his own home.
Yeah.
St. Francis cornices, he did them all.
Oh, he did all the cornices?
Oh, sure. Those fancy cornices over there on the top of there?
Yeah.
Those fancy ones? He did them all.
The ones in the front of the house and the side.
Oh, yeah, everything. I mean, there isn't a thing that he didn't do to this house. And he even built the pool by himself.
Yeah, when did you guys build the pool?
Well, about a couple of years after we lived here.
So Dad must have been like 9 or so.
Oh yeah, he was
Maybe
young. He
5.
was very young.
Did the boys help?
Oh sure.
You guys just dug it? Why did you build it?
Well, because the Levys came in and they built a pool. So he got jealous. He says, she's going to have a pool. I'm going to have a pool. She has no children. I have 3 children. And that's what happened. So he says, I'm going to beat her to the punch. And he says, that's how he built the pool. He read about it, went to the library, took the books, and he knew exactly what to do. And he started it from scratch. The only thing he had was order a bulldog,
Bulldozer, yeah.
to excavate the big hole.
One of the back holes. So
yeah.
I kept thinking that, I was thinking like shovels or something, but
No,
thank God
no.
he rented one of those things.
Yeah, and then all the inside, that's why it's so sturdy. I don't think that thing will ever come apart.
Because of the cement?
Because not only the cement, but he put wires and irons alongside the wall, all around, so it doesn't cave in. It'll never cave in. It'll never cave in.
I can't believe you just built a pool. Now, did you ever use a pool?
Yeah, I use it once in a while. Once in a blue moon.
But he used it every day.
Oh, he loved it. He loved it, yeah.
I remember him in those, I think they're the old-fashioned swimming trunks.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like thick nylon or they're thick polyester,
Right.
maroon trunks or something like that. And they came up, they were nice and high and really tight. And I remember he would go up and I'd be like, you're going to drown in that thing because
It's so tight.
it absorbs so much water,
Right,
you know.
right.
It wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I remember him doing laps up there.
Yeah.
He would, did the boys used it a lot?
The boys used a lot, and his friends, their friends.
And what about your families?
The families, of course, you know, all the nephews, like Uncle Joe and his son, Dee Dee. They came here for weeks and stayed here with me.
They would sleep over?
Yeah, they stayed here for weeks. Neva would leave her children here, and but she always made good though. She always brought a lot of food too when she came. But Dee Dee and Joseph dear, LaCassa Jr. and Louise, I have pictures of them. I don't know, maybe your sister has them now. I don't know.
All the pictures of the pool.
Yeah, did you see those pictures?
No,
your
I
sister
didn't.
has?
No, I didn't.
She took all my pictures.
I know, because she was afraid you were going to throw them out or
I
something.
know. But I was glad she took them. At least she has a course of conversation when she gets company.
I know. She told all the cousins because we know that the cousins, everyone's going to want them.
Oh.
She said they're just there for safekeeping.
Yeah,
So
they're safe over there.
Yeah, because
They're safe over there, all right.
She called me up and she said Grandma was threatening to throw away all of our heritage.
Yeah, she got my picture when I graduated, when I was maid of honor for my sister. And she got all those pictures. When she showed them to me, I completely forgot I had them. Because I never go through them, you know.
She was really excited to see them.
Huh?
She was really excited about them.
Really? Yeah, I know she enjoyed having them. But well, she could have them. She enjoys them. It's a cause of conversation when she has somebody else. Just want to see my grandmother's pictures.
Well, that's what this is all about. This is just that old stories, just like the pictures.
Exactly, yeah.
So, when in the wintertime, with the pool, did Dad say that you guys used to skate on the pool?
No, I think we did once, but we were afraid.
Yeah.
We were afraid to take a chance because, it's an ordinary pool, and
Exactly.
you didn't know if it would fall in or everything. We're very protective of that.
And so Dad was born in, Donald was born in Brooklyn while you're still in Manhattan? On the Mulberry Street?
All 3 of them were born in Brooklyn.
Oh,
East New York.
Which street?
Liberty Avenue.
Liberty Avenue.
Yeah, Donald was 9. No, Donald was 12. Philip was 9. and Johnny was 3 when we moved
when you
in.
moved.
Yeah. And the two of them went to North Shore High School, middle school. Then they went across the street to North Shore. And Johnny went to St. Mary's and graduated at St. Mary's.
Even in high school?
And then he went to, then he
Oh.
went to North Shore.
North Shore.
Yeah.
And which one gave you the most trouble?
Don.
I'm sorry, Uncle Donald, but I knew the answer to that.
Yeah. Donald gave me a lot of trouble. Well, it's because he wanted to go out a lot, you know, he wanted to stay out a lot. And his father used to give him a limited time to come home. And he never listened. And his father would say, I want you home at 10, 11 o'clock. He would come home maybe 12, 1 o'clock. And my mother would tiptoe downstairs and open up the door for him. And once my husband slept, he slept.
So you mean you really think he didn't wake up?
No, I don't think so. I doubt it. We would have heard about it if he did. We would have.
And your mom lived upstairs, and the 3 boys lived in the other bedroom.
Yeah, the 3 of them lived all in one room, and my mother alone in the other room.
And when you were all in the house, you know, up until my dad was like 8 in high school and stuff. When you came into the house, did everyone speak Italian?
We all spoke Italian. We all spoke Italian.
And
But
mixed with a little bit of English?
No, Philip and John never spoke Italian.
Oh,
Only
really?
Donald. Donald would converse with my mother because he understood the Italian language.
Uh-huh.
Because he was mostly with her as a baby and as growing up. Whereas Philip and Johnny, they weren't with my mother that much, especially your father. At, I think, 16, he went overseas and he stayed there two months. You know, the exchange student.
Yeah.
And he didn't spend too much time with my mother. And then when he was home, he was playing sports. He would come home at a certain time. Before you know it, it was time to go to bed.
Right.
And your father wasn't the type to say, well, I'm watching something, I got to wait until the end to go to bed. No. 10 o'clock, he would drop everything and go upstairs and go to bed.
He's still like that.
Still like that? That's how he was. Whereas Donald, no, he had to see the whole thing straight through. Johnny was different. Johnny was always he was always like a baby. You know, we cuddled him, we enjoyed him. You know, because there's 6 years difference between him and your father.
Yeah, he was a lot younger.
Yeah, 6 years difference. And
so he didn't, but everyone basically understood Italian, right? So everyone would talk, but then
yeah.
Phil and John
Your father too. He would
back
understand, but he couldn't answer him back.
Right, they would like speak in half English, half Italian.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Whereas Donald was able to converse with you in Italian, with my mother. I mean, he still understands Italian sometimes, but your father and John don't understand a word of Italian.
Yeah.
No less, maybe you make motions and you say it, then maybe he'll know what you're talking about, you know. But it was altogether different.
Huh.
Well, Donald was mostly with her, and that's the reason why I think he. See, Donnie too. Now he took Italian in high school and college, and he speaks very good Italian.
I know.
But he speaks the Italian, which I don't understand.
He speaks strict modern
I speak
Italian.
the dialect, and there's a difference between the Italian and the dialect.
So when you were talking about it with Grandpa,
No, I never spoke about it to Grandpa.
Oh, really?
I have spoken Napolitan.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But if you did, Napolitan and Barese,
2 different languages.
and you couldn't even understand?
No, never.
There were some maybe common words?
No.
No, not even
But
common words?
the reason why Grandpa used to understand a little bit Barese was he had some Barese customers in Glen Cove. And his father, when he used to go on the truck with his father when he was about 9, 10 years old, they used to speak Barese to him, so he used to pick it up because he was a smart man.
Yeah.
And he knew certain words in Barese. But I spoke to any of his customers that came here that didn't understand English, I spoke Nabilidan.
Really? So how
Oh,
did you
yeah.
pick it up? You just picked it up?
No, I just picked it up by him talking and talking to his customers, and then I picked it up. I said, well, why should I make it so hard on myself that they don't understand my language or my dialect? So I picked up Nabilidan.
It's so funny because, to an outsider, we wouldn't think that, Italian's Italian.
No, Italian's not Italian.
Yeah, I guess
No.
not.
Especially the Sicilians, you don't understand a word they say.
Yeah, but who cares about the Sicilians?
Oh, well, Sicilian, that's Uncle Jim was Sicilian. And my husband hated his guts because he was Sicilian. He hated the Sicilian people. He says the best Sicilian should be shot between the eyes.
So now, the Sicilians are typically what? They're supposed to be mean-spirited, or what's?
I don't know what they just didn't like the Sicilian people. I don't know why.
I understand that.
Yeah, I really have no
It's
idea.
basically, it's like a Yankees fan or something.
I have no idea why they hated the Sicilian people. They just hated them. I'm surprised they didn't hate the Barese people, especially that he picked on the Barese girl. Which is very unusual.
Yeah. Huh.
But they said, he always said that the Barese people were very good people. My husband always used to say that, because he dealt with them in Glen Cove. And maybe that's why he used to say that. But in reality, I really don't know whether he said that to make me feel good or what. But I said, well, I couldn't have been all that bad. I don't think he would have picked on a Barese woman.
There must be something redeeming.
There must have been something. There's something striking his